All right, welcome everyone. This is the very first explainer in our brand new series where we're tackling some of the most epic stories ever told. And we are kicking things off with a bang. The very beginning of Homer's Iliad. We're going to break down the single argument, the one quarrel, that basically doomed an entire army and totally changed the course of the Trojan War. So, let's dive right in. Okay, so at the absolute center of this whole mess, you've got these two titanic figures. On one side, there's Agamemnon. He's the big boss, the commander-in-chief of all the Greek forces. And on the other side, you've got Achilles. He's their champion, their greatest warrior. I mean, this guy is practically a one-man army, almost invincible in a fight. So you have the power of command clashing with the power of, well, winning. And that really sets up the core question, doesn't it? These two guys are just destined to clash. You have Agamemnon, whose kingly pride is just off the charts. He cannot stand to be questioned. And then you have Achilles, whose honor as a warrior is like the only thing that matters to him. So what happens when that unstoppable pride slams into that immovable honor? Well, you get an absolute disaster. So let's set the scene. We're 9 long years into the Trojan War, and the story doesn't even start with a big battle. Nope, it starts in the Greek camp, and things are not good. In fact, they're terrible. There's this mysterious plague, this awful sickness just ripping through the army. Soldiers are dropping dead every single day, morale is in the toilet, and nobody has a clue what's causing it. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. The Greeks pretty quickly figure out, hey, this isn't just some bug going around. No, this was different. This is a divine pestilence, sent by a god with a message. And they figure out the god behind it is Apollo. You know, the god of archery, music, and plagues when he's angry. And right now, he is furious. He's punishing the entire army. So the million-dollar question is, why? And here's the answer. It all comes down to Agamemnon. See, a priest of Apollo came to the Greek camp. His daughter had been taken captive, and she was now Agamemnon's prize. The priest offered a huge ransom to get her back. But Agamemnon, in his classic, arrogant style, he basically laughed in the holy man's face, insulted him, and sent him packing. Big mistake. You don't insult a priest of Apollo. The god's response was immediate and brutal: the plague. So, with his comrades dying left and right, Achilles just can't take it anymore. He decides someone has to do something. And since the king isn't, he will. He's the one who steps up and calls a big meeting, an assembly, to get to the bottom of this. Now, you gotta understand, this is a huge deal. It's a direct challenge to Agamemnon's authority right in front of everyone. The fuse has just been lit. And at this meeting, things go from bad to worse fast. Achilles is demanding answers. They bring in a prophet who lays it all out. Yep, it's Agamemnon's fault. You gotta return the priest's daughter or we all die. So Agamemnon's cornered. He agrees, very reluctantly, but then his pride kicks in. He says, fine, I'll give her back. But if I lose my prize, I'm taking someone else's. And he looks right at Achilles and says, I'm taking yours. I'm taking your captive Briseis as my compensation. Okay, pause. This is the absolute key moment. This isn't just about one person taking something from another. In this warrior culture, your prize wasn't just loot. It was a symbol of your honor, your value, your street cred. So when Agamemnon does this, in public, he's not just taking a captive. He is publicly stripping Achilles of his honor. He's telling the entire army, you, our greatest warrior, are worth nothing to me. It is the ultimate humiliation. And that is the breaking point for Achilles. He is absolutely livid. He lets them take the girl, but then he makes this terrible, fateful vow. He stands up and announces to everyone, I'm done. Me and my men, the Myrmidons, we are out. We are not fighting one more second for a king who treats his best warrior like this. He just quits. But it's not just about public anger. That rage turns into something else, something colder. Because Achilles, humiliated and fuming, realizes that just sitting out the war isn't enough. No, for revenge this deep, he needs to go bigger. He needs to call in a favor from someone way, way above any king's pay grade. So what does he do? He goes down to the seashore, all alone, and this incredible, seemingly invincible warrior, he just breaks down and cries, and he calls out for his mom, who, by the way, just happens to be Thetis, a literal sea goddess. And the plan he cooks up, the thing he's about to ask her to do, it is absolutely shocking. This right here tells you everything about how deep his rage goes. He doesn't just want the Greeks to miss having him on the battlefield. No,
that's not enough. He asks his mother to go straight to the top, to Mount Olympus, and beg Zeus, the king of the gods, to start helping the other side. He wants the Trojans to start winning. He wants them to start slaughtering his former comrades, to push the Greeks to the absolute edge of total defeat. Why? So that they will have no choice but to come begging him to come back.
I mean, what a terrifying thing to ask for. But Thetis is his mother, and she agrees to do it. So she travels up to Mount Olympus, right into the throne room of the gods, and she puts this devastating request to the most powerful being in existence. The entire war, thousands of lives, it all now comes down to what Jupiter decides. And the king of the gods, he listens. He hears Thetis plead her case, to make the Greeks suffer, to make them pay for dishonoring her son. The fate of an entire army is hanging in the balance. And then he agrees. He just bows his head, this fateful nod that seals the deal. And that's it. The contract is signed. The gods will now actively help the Trojans. The Greek army is officially doomed to get crushed. And all of this, all of it, because of one single argument between a prideful king and his greatest warrior. And that is where we're going to leave it for now. The dominoes have been set in motion. With their best fighters sulking on the sidelines and the literal king of the gods rooting for the other team, what possible hope do the Greeks have left? Well, you're going to have to stick with us for the next part of this story to see how it all unfolds. Thanks for tuning in.